Oh, then the computer said, I'm tired of waiting on you. Alrighty. Alright, let me call you guys back. It looks like it's working or something. Let me just start working with it. Well, I must admit that setting this all up was more difficult than the actual task here of going through what chapter 9 is actually teaching. Of course, now, the first part of the text pretty much wants to teach you how to set up an account and probably the installation of or logging into a Linux system. But we have no need to do that. I already have a system that runs on an environment that allows for us to be able to perform the task here. This is an Apple system, but the terminal environment is very much similar to what the Linux, other Linux distribution environments will look like. So basically here, one of the great things about Linux is their very simplistic way of issuing commands as opposed to what it is like in a Windows environment. I just had to clear the screen and basically you type clear and that just happens. In Windows it's something like CLS. So here we're going to begin with what relates to section 9.2. We talked about the file structure, listing the files. So to list the files here, the first thing we do is the ls here, and then it lists everything. And of course, using the change directory command here would ultimately, give us the information about, or give us the ability to redirect to specific folder files, or I should say, more like the directories. So doing the ls la here, you see a more in-depth report on the attributes associated with each of those directories. If you to the far left, you can see the drwx that has to do with read, write, executable permissions set on each one of those, date time modification, and of course the file extension names in some cases. If you want to display the contents of file, you use the more or cat command. Changing the directory would be the cd command, like I mentioned earlier. Or if you want to print the working directory, you type in a pwd. This is a little bit challenging because of the focus of this camera, and this is all I have at this point. So basically I'll be talking mostly about these things, just not doing a lot of the show up on it. To remove or delete a file, you use the rm command, or to move it, you use the mv command. The permissions I was talking about there, if you were trying to actually change permissions from something that is probably, if you see some of them there, just have a read write executable only, or some are just read write. You wanted to change those, being that I'm the admin on the machine, I would be able to change the permissions and either the ownership, if it's owned by the system, to myself. The commands for that is the chmod, which is change modification, and chown, which is the change ownership, chown, and this ch group, which changes the group to which the ownership permissions of those actually belong in. I'm going to just jump more further into what would be, let's see if we can change the directory to something, say the desktop. And we're in that directory here, and if we want to try to see what's contained in that, we do the ls again. and there's nothing actually in the desktop. As you can see in the background environment, well, as you can see the whole area on my desktop, but if you take a look at my desktop, there is actually no folders on there, so therefore there is no contents in there. So we can do a CD, and then it takes us back, and then we do a CD to, let's try documents and see what I have in there. And then do an ls to see what's contained in there. And you see it returns a whole bunch of listings of documents I have in there. So let's try to see if we can look into the contents of it and do a cat on the, let's see here, Reba, and we do a tab. Well, if you do a tab in the Linux command line, it helps you along the way to you know, so it's like a quick way of figuring out what you're trying to type in any further. So I do AS here, and for a folder I'm seeing it right away sees that, and then I can also do the extension, and we can actually look at it. I guess it didn't like that, and let's try that one more time. And doesn't take that. Let's see here. Let's try more. The cat and the more command are actually interchangeable. Actually, we would need to use a tool like a tool that allows us actually to read the contents of those. So if we were to type actually the document itself, let's do this. Pause this for a second.